Good day, learners. You are on to Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. My name is Daniel Aruorade. I'll be teaching you literature in English.
Eko Learners Support, a support program of the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for WAEC and NECO candidates.
All right, today I want us to look at a very important topic in literature called imagery. Imagery in literature. All right. Now, it's important that we understand what imagery is so as to identify them in our various texts, especially our poems. Now, at the end of this lesson, you'll be able to define imagery. You'll be able to identify and explain the types of imageries that we have in literature. And of course, you'll be able to use imageries in creative writing. All right, let's get down to the main class. So what's the meaning of imagery? Imagery is the use of words to create a mental picture in the mind of your readers, or when a writer uses words in a way that it creates mental pictures in the mind of the readers, you said that the writer has used an imagery. Now, imageries or those pictures can appeal to the sense of smell, sense of sight, the sense of hearing, the sense of feeling. When words are used to create an image on the mind of the learner, you say that the person has used imagery in literature. Okay? Now let's look at the types of imagery that we have. We have visual imagery, we have auditory imagery, we have olfactory imagery, we have gustatory imagery, and we have tactile imagery. Let's look at what these types of imagery actually mean. The first I have here is the visual imagery. A visual imagery is achieved when words or expressions are used to appeal to the reader's sense of sight. We have an example here. The red van radiated the gaudy sun rays with a magnificent shine. The red van radiated the gaudy sun rays with a magnificent shine. Now we have words like red. The color red immediately gives you the picture of the color that you already have in your memory. Then we see that it radiates like something. The gaudy sun rays. The word gaudy creates a picture of something that shines, something that is bright, and of course with a magnificent shine. That shows that it's beautiful to look at. Now, looking at this example, you can immediately imagine how the sun rays flashes on the red van. That's a picture. So words are being used to create a visual image on your mind. Let's get down to the second type of imagery. Auditory imagery. From the word audio, you know that anything that is audio has to do with your hearing. And this kind of imagery is achieved when words or expressions are used to appeal to the reader's sense of hearing. For instance, when you hear something and when you read a text and you can hear what was written in your mind, then you say that an auditory imagery has been used. Look at an example here. Sparrows twittered under the eaves. Sparrows twittered under the eaves. When you read this, you immediately see the picture of a bird trying to sing or giving out some sounds. Those sounds will definitely create a picture in your mind of those sounds of birds that you have heard before somewhere. So that's what you call twittering. So the word twitter creates a picture on your mind. But what kind of a picture? A picture that appeals to your sense of hearing. Okay? All right, can we move on to the next? Olfactory imagery. Olfactory imagery. Just like you can see on the board, we have an imagery that appeals to your sense of smell. Now, don't forget that in your poems and in your texts, your writers have their different styles, and when they write, they try to create a picture in your mind. Now, look at an example here. The scent of wet soil reached my nostrils and my eyes closed on their own accord. The scent. The scent. Now, the word scent itself tells you that something is smelling. Whether it's a malodorous smell or it's a good fragrance, that's left for you to decide from the kind of words that have been used. So the scent of wet soil reached my nostrils and my eyes closed on their own accord. This, of course, is a pleasant smell from the words that we can see. Let me give you another instance quickly. When you hear someone mention boli, in English, it's called roasted plantain. Of course, some of us who love to eat it will know what I'm talking about. It's likely that immediately you begin to perceive or smell a roasted plantain. That's because you are familiar with that word. And that word has created a picture that appeals to your sense of smell. Let's move on. The next here is gustatory imagery. Gustatory imagery. Just like you can see here, a picture of a tongue. A gustatory imagery is achieved when words or expressions are used that appeals to the reader's sense of taste. An example is here. Freshly baked bread tastes great with thick tea. Maybe you're hungry and someone says this. You might immediately begin to remember how bread tastes or how a very delicious tea you once had also tastes. When words are used to propel that feeling of tasting something before or something you have tasted before, you say that the reader has been taken to see or feel an imagery called gustatory imagery. The writer definitely has used a gustatory image. Okay, let's see the last one here. It's called tactile imagery. Tactile imagery. Of course, this kind of imagery is the one that appeals to the sense of feeling or the reader's sense of feeling. Just like others, when a writer uses words and you can immediately feel what he is trying to describe, either on your skin or in your emotions, you know that the writer has used an imagery called tactile imagery. Let's look at an example here. A surge of currents ran through his nerves as his muscle pulled. A surge of currents ran through his nerves as his muscle pulled. Here, if you have a memory of anything going through your muscles or your veins at all, the way words have been used here makes you begin to feel something similar to what the writer is trying to express. Muscle pull, flow of blood in your veins, that's a sense of feeling. And so the writer has used an imagery called tactile imagery.
Eko Learners Support, a support program of the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for WAEC and NECO candidates.
So we've come to the end of today's class. For questions or suggestions, please reach us on our social media handles displayed on the screen. Thank you.
Acing your WAEC and NECO examinations has been made easy by the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education with the Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates television program. Join seasoned teachers as they take you through these core subjects, targeting the exact syllabus of WAEC and NECO. Watch Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates through these social media platforms to access more educational content and give their feedback. Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. Pass your examinations with flying colors.